Thinking you can also watch.
I just realized I walked into the ladies' room and didn't realize it.
Sorry?
I walked into the ladies' room and didn't realize it. So sorry.
Окей. Доброе утро, дорогие друзья. Карл и Куптон. Очень хочется поприветствовать вас на полях нашего форума Cyber and Digital Security в 2025 году. Наш проект Медиа Юрта по-прежнему работает, по-прежнему радует вас как онлайн-трансляцией, так и записью, которую вы, конечно же, сможете увидеть после этого. И трек нашего сегодняшнего форума, и я, его программный директор Евгений Петровин, это коллаборации, это помощь и поддержка со стороны партнеров, со стороны MSP-провайдеров, со стороны сервисных компаний, рынку, отрасли и государству. И, конечно же, очень такой интересный трек внутри этого трека – это наше международное партнерство. И поэтому наш сегодня первый гость, а у нас, напоминаю, целых 2 дня медиа-юрты, наш сегодняшний первый гость – это представитель именно международного сотрудничества, международной компании CRYPTTECH. Поэтому, дорогие друзья, я сейчас переключаюсь на английский. И если вам нужен переводчик, то мне очень жаль, потому что, возможно, IT-среда будет для вас сложной и тяжелой, но у нас будут субтитры потом. So, please welcome our first guest, John Zeniz, pre-sales engineer from CRYPTTECH, international cybersecurity company, and I heartily welcome you in Astana. It's very nice and I think, very prosperous to start with an international speaker today, our first day of Media Yurt. So maybe let's start to tell our viewers a bit about CRYPTTECH as a guest today on Cyber and Digital Security. What do you do actually, and how do you protect our digital worlds?
So CRYPTTECH is a Turkish artificial intelligence and cybersecurity research and development company. We provide software solutions, cutting-edge technology to protect us from any digital dangers. We have an almost 20 years of cybersecurity experience and almost 15
day-to-day operational work.
Of course.
When we're looking with errors.
Calculably so, because in cybersecurity, since you also have a very extensive history in it, seconds means billions of dollars sometimes. So the faster and better you can analyze something, find an anomaly, and then alert the people who are actually responsible of doing it, or in our case, if you use our AI-powered SOAIR system, who does it automatically, solves the issue for you with the established playbooks, then of course you provide tangible advantage to both people and the companies, because you do it faster and better.
And speaking about automation, actually, what do you think, or do you have some products and services for security operations center for automation?
Yes, of course.
Not doing like out of the box and not people, but really automated for small and medium business, for example.
Yeah, of course. I mean, most small businesses don't necessarily have the budget or the requirement to do so because they have in-house SOC personnel. But in addition to security information and event management programs, we also have security orchestration, automation, and response programs. You must be very familiar with the term SOAR products. And ours is actually incorporating our advanced AI system too. So it can actually do some preventative care in a bit and help you in creating the playbooks that will take place once an alert triggered. So yeah, of course, currently we're aiming for about like an 80% reduction in human labor resources in cybersecurity, because the biggest mistakes or biggest problems in cybersecurity unfortunately come from human error. I mean, even phishing attacks are still very prevalent, and that's how most hacking problems start. Somebody clicks on a cat video. So if you can automate it more, you make it much more smoother and better, but of course you also need a direction from a very experienced supervisor that's work in tandem with the automation. So yes, we provide automated solutions incorporating our advanced AI technology, but not a lot of companies sometimes require them, but if they need it, we have it.
How do you reduce the human error, not in a kind of, just common citizen expertise, but in a professional expertise like security operations center analysts, for example? How do you reduce human error in that area?
Okay, so I'm not a security specialist, but for instance, let's say you're experiencing an attack in the middle of the night. And what you need to do is go turn off a switch. That is very common.
That's what all people do.
Yes. But if you use automation, you don't have to get into your car, drive a couple of miles, and get there and turn it off. You can do it instantly. So it's kind of rude to call that human error, but that hour it takes for you to get to the switch, it's a lot of time for the attacker to be in your system. So even in this very simple case, if you use automation in there, it's extremely helpful for you. But even in more complicated cases, we're all human. We make mistakes sometimes. And sometimes those mistakes are very, easy to miss, very simple mistakes that can lead to much more complicated situations. But computers, they don't make mistakes unless you code them wrong, because they do something very efficiently, which is counting, doing repetitive tasks very fast and repetitively. But humans, we are much more creative than that. So it's better to use both human intelligence and artificial intelligence and automation in tandem to eliminate error altogether.
Well, speaking about that a long way to the switch for the CISO department, for example, do you actually believe into cybersecurity could be executed remotely? So do you believe in remote teams for ICS security, for example?
I mean, as I said, I'm not a security specialist, but I see the benefit in that, especially if there's some localized people, because there's a lot of monitoring you need to do that is not necessarily, require you to physically be there. Because, especially with advanced systems, like advanced CIEM systems, a lot of information is already getting from very remote connections. Like in our company, we have worked in very large projects with 600,000 EPS number of projects. You must know that that's a very high number. Yeah. So, and you cannot, even if you had them all localized in one building, it wouldn't fit in a building's block. So, of course, you need some remote access, and we provide online SOC services for some of, for our own products, and sometimes it's very beneficial to have both an local team, a small local team, and a remote observatory team that work in tandem.
Mm-hmm. And what do you think? How do we all together as an industry? How do we break the non-sufficient trust into remote services and into security as a service at all? Because mostly here in Kazakhstan, at least 90% of companies, or even maybe 95% of companies, they still have really huge mistrust, and they just can't make their security go somewhere. They just like to hold it here, to build every solution on premise, and so on and so on. So how do you gain the trust of it into the company?
It's a very hard question to answer, specifically for in Kazakhstan, because it's culture dependent. Because security is what we take very personally on a level. And how you respond to that is very, it's very colloquial. It's hard to answer that question. But I think it's about believing the expertise. Because even if you want to build your own team and locally on premises, and we provide on-premise solutions and cloud solutions, of course, because by regulations we work with militaries, bankings, and ministries of health. So all of those cybersecurity solutions need to be on-premise. But we are experts in our field. And even if you hire someone now, they will not have our experience. They will not, we will train them, of course. But having the belief and the faith, in a way, in the experts, I think that's how you break the mistrust. You need to make the client understand you are the best. That's what we do.
I see. And what's the part of it into the company leader? Because I know personally two types of CEOs or founders. One are very technical guys who invest 99% of their time into R&D, into getting deep into threat intelligence, and they never show themselves outside, never go on TV, never promote something itself. And the second, which I also belong to, are marketing guys who are actually evangelists, who promote and who protect their right in the industry, and who make a great level of security awareness. So whom do you believe, to have more future, and who making it more right for the industry? What do you think?
You need both. it's hard to say I believe in this one more, because companies need, I mean, this is a capitalist world, companies need money to survive. And if you are the most brilliant engineer, if nobody understands what you're speaking about...
Or buy Swiss.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you need, of course, like in our company, our CEO and founder and CTO is a brilliant scientist, and he loves to develop. But he also comes to these meetings, goes on TV, does the marketing stuff because he knows he needs to. But it's probably better to have a CTO who is more into, deep in critical analysis and development, and a CEO who is much more the face person. I believe personally you have to have both.
Okay.
Because we just talked about the mistrust, right? You have to have the face to talk to the other faces.
Yeah, and CEO is the face of a company, so you have to believe into CEO, so you believe into company. Well, speaking about scientists, actually, there is, if you're speaking about pure science, there always that sense of perfection and art of doing things perfect. And sometimes it comes to the point that the perfect product never comes out.
Of course.
So how do you think? But when we're speaking about business needs and business projects, sometimes the product should and could, or could and should be unperfect, but it needs to come out and to be tested and to be more precisely developed. So what do you think? What's the MVP for security product to come out, and what's the minimum level of it to be trusted but later corrected?
I'm actually not sure about what you mean by the product needs to be unperfect. If you could elaborate on that, I would be very appreciative.
I mean that product.
Do you mean like by deadline you need to have something?
Yes, okay. Like MVP, but and where could we have less perfection in UX, in threat intelligence, in speed of working, in consuming the resources of IT. So how unperfect it could be to go out?
Well, the thing is, once again, I'm not a developer. That's
and that's great.
But development is a long stage. Like, it starts as an idea, but usually as a company, we've been very lucky. We already have like a variety of products that are already completely perfect. But we're still working on new things because technology is changing every day. Like zero-day attacks occur, new like vulnerabilities appear. We always need to be ready for that. But currently we have a lot of products that are already functioning. We're very proud of them. But considering what you say, there has been, cases where you need, you get a requirement for a product that hasn't been developed yet, in the world, even. And you start working on it, and by some deadline, you need to show the clients or the people, like, how the process is going. But there's, as in science, sometimes your hypothesis is not true. And the way you went there is not the best or the fastest way. But you do your best, you try to develop it, you show your genuine effort and work into it. Sometimes you do overwork in the company and literally put your sweat, blood, and tears into it. And if you're lucky, you meet the final deadline and the client is satisfied and you're known.
Never happens. Never happens.
In our case, it did.
Oh, really?
In many cases. I mean, there were situations where I haven't been working in CRYPTTECH like more than 5 years, so I wouldn't know a lot of the development processes. But in recent years, we've been very lucky. And we're currently in our, we have the advantage in CRYPTTECH that we have a lot of products that are already cutting edge technology. And we're developing new technology, and we're not necessarily advertising it that much. So we're perfecting it, and we know the client will need it because the world needs it. Because we know the technology is moving in a way, and we're watching the patterns of the waves of development. And once we present it, start marketing it, we already have a working product. So we are one of those few lucky companies that kind of got over the hump that you were describing.
I think that 99% of software companies are envying you now.
Speaking about... I'm sorry to cut you off, but a lot of companies are startups. We have 20 years of experience in cybersecurity. And
that's what I call by imperfections. Because there are plenty of startups who also founded by scientists. Yes. And true scientists, never dares to get out the non-perfect product.
Yes.
That's a problem, but sometimes you need to get our product to be not perfect, but still functioning on the market. Speaking, actually concluding our talk, speaking about software development, it happens now that, at least in Kazakhstan, really huge pile of companies, which were traditional ones like banks, like insurance companies, like even the oil refinery stuff, anything, they become to produce their own digital products. And that's how they actually became IT companies. But it happens very often that business put on press, like really competitive market, puts on press for cybersecurity, and they never think about cybersecurity when they have, to get out the fresh update for a software which we're using. So, how do you think is there a smooth way to develop and to include the security DevOps process into every company which never was an IT company but now produces its software? So how can we do it smoothly, easily, and maybe with your products as well?
So do you mean these companies are producing security software?
No, they're producing their own software, but it should be secure because it works with data, with customer data, and it's with money, and it's vulnerable at all.
Oh, that's not an issue. Our products are integratable with any part of software. So a big part of security comes from information, the logs. So everything produces them in these days. Like especially if we move into IoT world, your laundry machine will be producing logs. I mean, I'm not sure if you need it necessarily, but it's about looking at that information and critically analyzing it that protects you. So the type of the information doesn't really matter. We actually have an artificial assistant that helps you write a parser that will recognize any type of log. Like you develop your own device, machine in any language you want, and we will understand it. And we would normalize it, critically look at it, and that's probably similar for a lot of companies. A lot of companies and their products probably have a way of integrated any type of software. But we probably do it better because our AI is a lot better at writing a parser than most people actually do. It's faster. That's why.
I see.
So as I said, it's I understand what you mean. Everybody's becoming a tech company. It's the Industry 4.0, right? Even 5.0.
Yeah, that's the Revolution 5.0.
But as long as they are using ones and zeros, we can understand it.
Oh, great. Okay, so let's hope for the best. And I thank you very heartily for your interview. And I sincerely hope that the next 2 days for you here in Kazakhstan on Cyber Digital Security Conference will be the most prosperous and successful, not only in business style, but in a way to understand the needs of the Kazakhstan market and to understand the part of culture and mental, code of our people to help them produce more secure and prosperous future of business. So thank you very much. I really welcome you in your company. И, дорогие друзья, мы благодарим нашего спикера и потихонечку переходим к нашей следующей теме, где я, программный директор форума, переселюсь виртуально в кресло интервьюера, и следующую нашу беседу буквально через минуту, не переключайтесь, мы проведем уже о тех трендах, о тех задачах, привязанных к форуму, про которые расскажу я сам. Напоминаю, что наш проект «Медиа-юрта» в рамках Cyber Digital Security идет 2 дня. Прямая трансляция идет в наших аккаунтах в соцсетях. Также будет доступна в записи. Более того, те, кто в Астане, но еще не зарегистрировался, cds-forum.kz, промокод CDS-EP25. Регистрируйтесь, приходите. 2 дня делаю программу, будет очень классно. Спасибо. Буквально через минуту будет наше следующее интервью уже со мной. Не переключайтесь.